Welcome in, everybody, to Leading Off, brought to you by BetMGM right here on Fantasy Pros. I am Chris Welsh, and joining me today for a magnificent episode of Leading Off for all you peanuts and cracker jacks, people watching live, or of course, people listening on the podcast, is the great and powerful Nick Pollock, Pitcher List. What's up, my friend? What's up, Nick?
What is happening? So good to see you, Chris. Thanks so much for having me today.
Always love talking with you. One of the perennial names in all of the baseball space. Obviously, you guys know him. You get all of his breakdowns. You know what the best part of today is, too? I get to potentially throw hitter things at Nick.
Oh, no!
And that's always the problem because, Nick, the number one thing we're going to be talking about, of course, is going to be over on the Padres, but I want to remind everybody, you can follow Mr. Nick Pollock over at Pitcher List. You can check out their incredibly awesome website. What is the version are we on Pitcher List right now? Is it 7.0? I don't recall.
It's PL7 with StatCast data on our player pages. It's wonderful.
It is crazy. If you want to do any research on players, you've got to make sure you go over there. They've got a litany of incredible podcasts, and really Nick is one of the biggest must follows on Twitter that I possibly know, and a wonderful person, one of just my favorite, like, genuinely great people, whether it's on a podcast, whether it's in person, whether it's giving advice. Nick has literally never said no to me. And I say,
of course, how could I not? And I can't thank you enough for giving me advice like this. I'm excited to talk about everything baseball. Yes, including the cardboard cutouts that are hitters.
Yes, there are a few, and there were a couple that were traded. I know it's not exciting pitchers, Nick, but there were a couple that were traded and made their debuts yesterday. The Padres, they came out with an absolute bang with a 9-1 victory with all their new guys. Brandon Drury, first inning, grand slam, Soto and Bell both on base. Soto ended up going 1 for 3 with 2 walks in the debut. Josh Bell, 0 for 2, but he had 2 walks and 2 runs. Brandon Drury, 1 for 3 with a grand slam, 4 RBI. And it was a Polaroid moment. It was a huge buildup to what had the chance to disappoint, and it did not. Like, I know they are stinky hitters and everything like that, but I mean, we've been talking a lot about the fantasy uptick on players and going to new destinations. Soto's a kind of no-brainer. Josh Bell, I think, is a relatively good no-brainer. What about Brandon Drury? What were your thoughts on Brandon Drury and having that big output?
Yeah, so Brandon Drury, when he moved to the San Diego Padres, he didn't really know how he fit in with so many options there. But it's so good to see him right away making an impact for San Diego. And you got to think that they'll find a way to get him in his lineup because he's such a good hitter this year inside of Cincinnati. And I'm just really excited to see him thrive in San Diego now in such a good lineup. Brandon Drury should succeed there.
Yeah, exactly. Nick's got to go do. I'm not joking you. Nick is literally burning his food. There's food burning. His whole place might burn down. So he had to run. Here's what I thought was interesting. Here's a couple things. Juan Soto hit 2 in the lineup. Major check. That is exactly what we wanted to see. So think when Tatis comes back, if Tatis leads off and then you go Soto Machado, it will be the greatest 1 through 3 I can imagine. And I mentioned it yesterday. The no-run first inning bets on the runs scored should be really fascinating for the Padres because you're not going to want to ever take it on the under. Josh Bell hitting behind the major guys proves the incredible RBI opportunity that's going to be out there, even though he didn't really do a whole bunch, a couple walks in there, a couple runs. And Brandon Drury DH in his first appearance, which I think was really important to see because at the end of the day, you're going to see him just play all across the board. And they played him right off the bat against righties. Not that they wouldn't have, but if you were to pretend something, Nick, Brandon Drury is one of the better left-handed hitters in hitting lefties in baseball right now. I mean, I think he's like still top 10. He's not Paul Goldschmidt, but he's a guy where if he's up against a lefty and you're a better, you want to go probably take a total base prop where you can feel comfortable with a homer. So they played him up against righties as well. He could DH, he could play second, he could play outfield. His versatility really showed out, and really everything we guessed that this lineup would do happened. Bell RBI opportunity, Soto to Drury hitting in a pretty solid spot and coming through and probably going to get regular playing time, which is what we need.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also kind of interesting to see the Padres and the Mets maybe do this thing of getting platoon split guys. You have Darren Ruff now and Vogelbach with the Mets too. It might be what the Padres are doing, so it might not be an everyday thing for Brandon Drury, as it might be leaned a little bit more on lefties.
Well, and they got Kim and they've got Profar and
Right.
Grisham was hitting out a little bit. By the way, did your food burn? Is it?
It's all right. I just all of a sudden smelled it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I put it on too high, and I realized for 30 minutes I'm gonna start a fire, so I needed to.
Okay, I'm glad. What I'm really glad about is I didn't bring Nick Pollock on, and his whole house burned down when he.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got enough of my personal life that's burning down. I don't need to burn down your life, so I'm glad we didn't burn that down.
At the moment of, oh my god, I'm 30 minutes and it's gonna burn down.
That's exactly
Oh my
right.
lord.
So it was magnificent on the Padres front. Sandy Alcantara threw his third complete game of the season. Nick, you are the pitcher guy. I actually have two pitcher things I want to break down here. Talk to me about Sandy Alcantara, and how have you dealt with him from fantasy as far as value? I know it's not the most important thing in the world. He might be the most reliable, trustworthy pitcher of the entire season. He doesn't have the best, like K percentage to K per nine or anything like that. But as he goes so deep, he puts up stats. What level of elite is Alcantara through this entire season for you compared to other guys? Like, especially here's a perfect example. Garrett Cole just got lit up yesterday, and he's really shown inconsistency throughout the board. Do you think Alcantara is no question more valuable than Garrett Cole for the rest of this season?
Yeah, I have him ranked above of Garrett Cole since I believe 2 weeks ago on my weekly edition of the list. And Sandy Alcantara does such a good job of getting fastballs inside, getting awkward swings that create outs in the field quickly. He makes it such a tough at bat every time, doesn't waste many pitches. And what we saw yesterday, just 3 strikeouts. Not the best changeup and slider that we've seen from him. But when you have 3 pitches, actually really 4, if you want to say the 4-seamer and sinker being 2 distinct ones, Alcantara just makes such difficult at bats all the time with the most ridiculous stuff. And we're talking like 99-mile-per-hour fastballs, and then amazing drop on the changeup and slider too. And because of that constant pounding of the zone, tough swing decisions, Alcantara is able to go deep into games consistently. And keep in mind, because he's going so long into the games, that ERA and WHIP are higher expressed than guys going 30% fewer frames, because that's an ERA, yes, but if you're in a roto league, that means so much more that he's doing over 8 innings than 6 innings.
Yeah.
So do not undervalue that from Sandy Alcantara. It's been an amazing season. I don't really see it slowing down at all.
Yeah. Is he number 3 overall?
He's number 3 for me. It's Corbin Burns, Shane McClanahan, and Alcantara. But then DeGrom is back, and how do you deal with that? But that's another story.
Well, that's a whole other thing that I would dive into. But I just want to make sure McClanahan was on that list.
Oh, yeah.
On the other side, boy, I mean, I can't be any colder betting right now. We can talk about that later. But Freddie Peralta did make his debut back from injury, going 3 2/3. He ended up giving up 2. He walked 2, struck out 3. He only went 67 pitches. Looked like he was really moving and shaking in that bottom of the 4th inning. Gave up those runs, and then they pretty much immediately yanked him, and didn't look like that strikeout prop was going to go great. 8 swing and misses on the day. Changeup, I think, was at like a 50% whiff rate. Fastball wasn't really doing a whole bunch. Slider, low slider stuff. I think it was all in like 25 plus CSW. What were your thoughts on the return of Freddie Peralta? Did this look like the guy that everybody was trying to push as a top 10 SP? Do you think he is going to need some time to work back? Or are you back into ultimate trust of Freddie Peralta? Especially if people like at a fantasy trade deadline might be looking to maybe acquire Freddie Peralta, if they want to make a push. Is that a guy people should be trading for with short innings coming off of the injury? And I don't know, did his stuff look good enough for you?
Right. It didn't for me. What you want to see from Freddie Peralta is just strikes. You want to see him pounding the zone with fastballs, and hopefully the slider gets strikes as well on top of that. But as long as this heater is inside the zone constantly, and I'm talking upper third of the zone, or just anywhere really inside that box, but hopefully upper third, Peralta will have a great start. Yesterday, very volatile, very erratic in a bad way with that heater. I call him Professor Chaos because of how much his strike supply just normally looks like just an array, but normally inside of that zone. And if he wasn't there yesterday, it could be a product of injury. It could be a product of jitters. You just came back for so long and you're really excited, and that can affect you too. So it's really hard to tell at this moment if Peralta is going to make those adjustments to get back into any sort of rhythm as that SP2 that we've seen. I want to believe he will, because he has done it for a decent amount of time. He does pitch cross body though, and that's something that requires a lot of rhythm to get back into the zone constantly with the timing on release. So it might take a couple starts to get there. Interesting to maybe wait if you're looking to trade for him for another week, wait for another bad start, because I don't think a manager would be willing to give him up for cheap at the moment.
Yeah, well, Okay, so that's interesting because you turned it back into kind of like a buy, and I wasn't sure if it was
Mhm.
going to be a buy or maybe a sell off if you don't want to wait. Trade deadlines are not created equal in fantasy. I've had some that just hit on the first. You get some, I think, that will be usually mid-August. You might have some push even a little bit further, maybe even to the end of August. So if you can get one more bad start in, that might be the time if you believe there's going to be a tick back. But maybe if there is no discount required off of the bad
Right.
start and you can still get full value, you could even look at maybe not playing, you could move off of him for the rest of the
Sure.
year if you don't want to play it through, because unfortunately it's going to have to be game time. And Freddie Peralta's never been a big innings guy, and he already went 67 pitches, only threw 4. So you do have to question long term if the stuff is just a little bit shaky over the next 3 or 4 starts, how comfortable will they ultimately be just pushing him in into win opportunities? And
Yeah, absolutely.
he's the polar opposite of Sandy Alcantara, where Sandy Alcantara, like if he doesn't go 7, we're like, is he injured? Is he
What's
okay?
going on here? No, with Freddie Peralta, I will say the only true buy lows are where it's not a guarantee that he's going to do well again, right? So if you are really buying on Freddie Peralta, you're kind of hoping that it does go poorly the next 2 starts and then having that faith that it'll come back up.
Yeah, exactly. One of the top prospects in baseball did make his major league debut, but probably the most boring of names for many people. Just don't know him. Miguel Vargas. He ended up going 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. I think he also stole third, if I remember correctly. He's not on here. Miguel Vargas. This is one of those guys. I'm having these moments, but I don't want to make everything about me, even though it can be. But like, I have this slew of these players that I saw as the lowest levels. Like I remember Miguel Vargas in like 2018 or 17 on the backfields of Camelback Ranch, watching him being like, man, this kid is really impressive. Not showing crazy stuff, but he's really impressive. Watching him as this kid, and he's now up in the major leagues right now, and he is successful. And he one of the best prospects in baseball, 15 homers, 12 stolen bases, hitting 291 with a 382 OBP in the minor league season, and now stolen base, a couple hits in his major league debut, can kind of move around. As soon as I saw he was actually called up, I immediately tweeted out for everybody, go pick him up. If he's still out there, go pick him up. This is one of those prospects that, in the Dodgers system, I don't know how long that they'll let things hang around, but if he's successful and he's here, he could play multiple positions. He's got incredible hit tool, and he's always been patient. Doesn't strike out, walks, has a high OBP. OBP leagues is a good one. This is definitely a hitter that you guys want to go and pick up if he is looming around and you want to play the young guy game in redraft, which I usually don't like to do. Over on the injury front, Michael Harris was scratched yesterday, day-to-day with a foot injury. This is blasphemous. I know he's a cardboard stinky hitter, but Michael Harris, one of my favorite players of the entire year. And really, Nick, I have to continuously root and cheer for Michael Harris, because as O'Neal Cruz goes out and hits his 8th homer and has 114 EV, and everybody tweets me about it because I'm only critical of O'Neal Cruz because the guy hits sub 230, and he was anointed the rookie of the year through 7 at-bats through this season. That's why I'm critical. Michael Harris, I think the best guy in baseball. I got to continuously root for. Are you a big Michael Harris guy?
Sure. I'm the one who will watch every single thing that O'Neal Cruz does. So I feel like I need to just say, okay, I believe you, Chris. I believe you.
I mean, it's the most difficult situation for me because it feels like everybody thinks I hate O'Neal Cruz, and I don't. I haven't talked about O'Neal Cruz in like a week and a half or so. I don't hate O'Neal Cruz. He's an insane video game talent. He's like got 9 homers and 5 stolen bases on the year, which is great. But he's hitting 225. He has a sub 270 OBP, which sucks, and he strikes out a bunch. So he's a big he's like Javier Baez. He's like Javier Baez. He's a bigger physical piece of Javier Baez, where Javier Baez would be like, man, he slings through a lot of stuff, but he has video game stuff. That's what O'Neal Cruz is. He's a monster and a beast, and I turned Michael Harris into O'Neal Cruz. I have
it's like a pitcher, like a Matt Brash kind of thing, where you see the amazing breaking balls, but it's like, okay, what was the final line kind of thing is what you're trying to say. And Michael Harris is just your, hey guys, I'm Luis Garcia and I'm just doing really good things. It's okay.
Yeah, maybe. Also like a Freddie Peralta. Like Freddie Peralta has just absolutely bonkers stuff, but he just doesn't go deep into games a ton. I mean, it's a word. It's not a great comp, but it's like that idea. Like it's flashy. Yeah, sure. It's got top end type of stuff. That's who O'Neal Cruz absolutely is. Next year will be more fun. I'll be a lot more into it, but like I don't get excited about sub 230 hits.
I can't wait for the blind mock draft where you yell at your co-manager for taking O'Neal Cruz in the 3rd round.
Well,
I
I've
can't
had
wait.
such a blast with that. Nick and PitcherCon he runs. They do these blind drafts, and
Hey,
I've now done
there it is.
2. Right? Oh, PitchCon. Yeah, exactly. PitchCon. And I did this last one, didn't I?
Yeah. You're back. It was great. You and Bachman.
I haven't seen the result. I don't know where the results are. Are you going to do a midseason result?
Oh, we're gonna post them. Don't worry.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I'm sure I did terribly.
I will scream a little bit if they do something bonkers, like take 2 years ago Dalton Varsho, who didn't make the roster.
Oh, that was so fun.
That was fun. Burn through the other injuries. Austin Hayes sidelined with an oblique. Brian Bayo out with a groin injury. Gavin Sheets got a bruised ankle. Joey Bart left the game with groin tightness. Ross Stripling placed on the IL with a leg injury. Creates some rotational stuff. And George Springer remains out of the lineup with an elbow problem. And as does Whit Merrifield, at least in Toronto. So will he lead off potentially when you get there? Here's a fun fact by Sarah Langs at Slang on Sports. Brandon Drury is the first player with a Grand Slam in his first plate appearance with a team after changing midseason with teams. He's the first player with a team. Rip Rapolsky of the Red Sox on May 10th, 1960 was, I guess, the next. Oh, yeah. So since 1960, this is a oddly worded tweet, or maybe I'm just reading it weird. But since a better way to be would since 1960, Brandon Drury is the first player with a Grand Slam in his first plate appearance with a new team after changing teams mid-season. Thank you, Sarah Langs, for the tongue twister. 2 more. And then we're going to get into some of the stats. This day in baseball, 1993, Tony Gwynn had 6 hits against the Giants. It is the Padres outfielder's 4th game of the 1993 season with 5 or more hits. He becomes only the 3rd person to get 5 hits or better that many times in a single season. Very ironic that Juan Soto might actually be... Okay, this might be controversial. Is Juan Soto the best version of like a Tony Gwynn we've had since Tony Gwynn? Is there any player that has been more representative of like Tony Gwynn was always unique in his game and his contact? Do you think that's like a Juan Soto like?
I think Juan Soto's too patient for that. Like Tony Gwynn, to get as many hits as he did is because he did not accept walks as much, I imagine, as Juan Soto. I don't have the career numbers of Tony Gwynn, but I assure you it's not the same patience that has been instilled in the game now. Still, as far as the overall hit tool goes, and just be like, all right, I'm just going to get some hits today, or be amazing at the plate, I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and like you just prove it right there, like 2 walks in his major league debut, like the hype, like players would be swinging through their shoes, like Brandon Drury. Here's a trivia question for today. Edwin Diaz's 8.1 strikeouts per 9 this season would set a record for a pitcher with at least 20 saves in baseball. This is for the chat or anybody listening. Who holds the current record? Nick cannot answer this because the answer is staring us right in the face. Unless you're not looking at the sheet. Have you looked at the sheet? Do you see it?
I looked at the sheet. I'm not going to be that guy.
Okay, so So the chat. So I'm going to repeat it one more time. Edwin Diaz, 8.1 K per 9 this season, would set a record for any pitcher with at least 20 saves. That is a bonkers video game number. But who holds the current record? Let's see if the chat gets it. Name and extra points if you can actually get what that number is. 8.1 would be the record, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. Some stat heroes. Jose Urquidy, 7 innings, 10 Ks. Were you an Urquidy guy? I always get every time I think of Urquidy, I think of Eno and Eno's love of some of the stuff. But Urquidy has really struggled, I think, in just being an ultimate consistent guy. And the strikeout pitchers in Houston in general have been a little bit wonky, but give up only 2 hits, 10 strikeouts. How big are we on Urquidy rest of season and trustworthy?
Yeah, so entering the season, I was hoping that we'd see the kitchen sink Jose Urquidy. And I thought, he was just getting undervalued in that way. Did not have it the first couple months of this year. Urquidy just could not find any sort of rhythm whatsoever. However, the last about 6-7 starts for Jose Urquidy have been phenomenal. Sure, you could point at the sub 200 BABIP that he's had in the same time. However, if you watch this start, which I did, fastball command has been unreal, and the changeup down and away arm side. So he avoided all of the play, just dotted the corners with those 2 pitches constantly. Good slider in there for some free real estate that is getting early strikes in the zone. Urquidy is in rhythm right now, and we see this a lot. I mean, look at Martin Perez. This entire season has been in rhythm. Jose Urquidy has been in one for about 6 weeks now, and I hope it doesn't end. I mean, as of this moment, Jose Urquidy could do this forever, it seems like. I hope he does. Hope there's nothing that interrupts this great groove he's in.
Yeah, and that was always something loved, and we would talk about was you had 4 pitches, and he could command all of them. Whether you're getting
Right.
strikeouts or not, the results will end up being there. It is not Rivera and is not Gagne for the trivia question of who Edwin Diaz would pass for the most K per nine in a single season with at least 20 saves. Very good guesses, but those are not from the chat. Where were we? We were on set here. Sandy Alcantara, we talked about went a perfect 9 and went 9, only struck out 3, so that strikeout under. Charlie Morton 6 2/3, 8 strikeouts, giving up only 3 hits. Zach Wheeler 7 7, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, 5 hits, also a pretty solid drink. Blake Snell 6 innings, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts. Oh man, Nick Snell. Blake Snell been consistent on the back half of the year. I have trouble buying it, but how critical and how trustworthy is Blake Snell the rest of the year? Because I feel like he's really shown out some inconsistencies, though, like you talked about with Urquidy. Him and Darvish have just stepped up, especially with the run support they're going to have now. Has Blake Snell moved up pretty dramatically in your ranks over the last, let's say, 2 months?
I mean, he's gone back and forth. When he came back from injury, we were hoping he would find some rhythm and replicate what he did at the end of 2021. We didn't quite see that. And I remember in the offseason, I asked Blake Snell on his Twitch chat, is the changeup still in timeout? Because he put it in timeout last year and had so much success. He goes, no, I'm really excited to show it off. And so I lowered him in my ranks. And then he still had his changeup for a while. But guess what? Last night, 1 changeup thrown. And he's been really reducing that changeup in the past 4 weeks. And this is the kind of success that we see. As long as you have 4-seamers for strikes with Blake Snell, 67% yesterday, which is great. He's going to get whiffs on the secondary stuff. He had 10 whiffs across the slider and curveball. That's it. There you go. That is Blake Snell having success. He's in that rhythm right now. I don't believe he would interrupt it as far as going back to the changeup one random night. So I feel good about Blake Snell at the moment. It's exactly what we saw last year, and hopefully he doesn't have the same injury that halted his progression in 2021.
Do you have any of those moments, and you're a very humble guy, but do you have any of those moments where it's like, how much you study and your experience as a pitcher and everything, and then you see what needs to be changed, and you see a guy like Blake Snell be like, no, I'm still going to go at it, and then you see it fail, and then you see them stop doing it and succeed. Do you want to just be like, could you just listen to me? Like, I know, but could you just listen to me?
Okay, sure. But there are other times when this guy needs to do this, and they say no, and they do something else, and they're incredibly successful. I mean, I'm happy it worked out this way. But there are a lot of other times that it doesn't.
Sure, I'm sure. Let's just get Blake Snell to listen to Nick Pollock, please. By the way, Brian did get it. Aroldis Chapman was the answer to the trivia question. 17.7 K per 9 in 2014. That is the leader. Edwin Diaz currently looking to break that record, which is pretty cool stuff. Over on the big hitters on the stat side, Brian Reynolds, 3 for 4 with a homer, did not get traded, must be happy. 3 runs. Luke Williams with Miami, 3 stolen bases on my bench yesterday too. God. Manny Machado, 3 for 4 with a homer in the big, and Cronenworth also had a homer with 3 RBI in the big Padres output. Ahmed Rosario had a bomb with 3 RBIs. I couldn't have been more wrong about Franmil Reyes, but I think I'm pretty right about Ahmed Rosario in the preseason guesses. Robinson Chirinos had a homer. Higashioka had a homer. Vogelbach with the big bomb. Drury with the grand slam. Oscar Gonzalez, the reason Franmil is gone, 2 for 4 with a homer and some stat zeros. Cool Chad, the Chad Cool, 9 earned runs with 4 strikeouts in 5 innings. Amazing you can get to 9 earned runs in 5 innings. Michael Givens got blown up with 5 earned. Rich Hill only went 3 with 4 earned. And Garrett Cole, 6 innings, 6 earned runs, did have 8 Ks. Nick, what is wrong with Garrett Cole?
Well, first of all, he's replicating the cool whip, which you don't want whatsoever. But with Garrett Cole, it's just the first inning. And I've heard a lot of people say, the sticky stuff since then. He hasn't been this ace for the Yankees, all this. Keep in mind, yesterday, Garrett Cole had what I call a golden goal. That is, he had the highest CSW of any pitcher, and he had the most whiffs of any pitcher yesterday. The stuff is not bad. This is not all of a sudden a degradation of the old Garrett Cole as far as ability goes. It's just consistency a little. And really, the first inning, he allowed 3 home runs to the Mariners in that first frame, and then allowed 2 hits across the next 5 and dominated. I think it's something maybe mental. I think it's just something being in confidence-wise. I don't know. Maybe there's something about his pre-game routine. He blamed Billy Crystal, if you remember, on opening day. So there's something there about the first inning with the Garrett Cole. I think as far as fantasy managers go, he's not going to have this high of an ERA by the end of the year. I believe his stuff is just too good where you just have to keep shrugging it off. And it's tough to do that, but you got to do it.
I could honestly, I'm probably one of the few. I could just sit and I would love to just be inside of his brain. Like just he's like, I love his voice.
That is his voice, actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
I don't know. It's
Oh my God.
It's the Kermit thing. You know,
Like
remember the
Sammy
Family...
Davis Jr. almost what you're doing.
Well, like you remember that Family Guy bit where it's like, oh God, it's like Kermit the Frog, and I'm forgetting the Ray Romano out there. You put Garrett Cole at the same table with them.
Oh my
But
Lord.
I also like his excuses. I like that he's just like every time it's like, it was this and Billy Crystal. It's like always something else. Like I actually love Garrett Cole. I think he's fantastic for baseball. Blame everybody else and just I don't know, that's sticky. The zero hitters, Erica Haas, 4 strikeouts, 0 for 4, bunch of 3 strikeout performances, all no hits. Hoskins, Scope, Bichette, Chapman, Devers, Perez, and Turner, all with the big old zeros for everybody on the stat side. Hey, guess what, everybody? 2 homer calls this week. I have been very slow going, and it would be a miracle if I could catch up really in any regard. Well, we have to give a hat tip to our guy, Mike Mayer. God, my name's today. Mike Mayer, who has been dominating the board. We do not have an updated home run board, but yes, I did call Pete Alonso. I'm 2 for 3 last week, but a lot of other people called Pete Alonso, so much so I really wish we had the board. It's unfortunate because the home run leaderboard is tied now. It is tied for everybody. Hi Cubby had Juan Soto yesterday like wonky, and D Blum had Pete Alonso like me, so they are tied at 37. Night King of the North on the heels. Mike Mayer's got 35, and a bunch of us are just further down. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm probably 25 or 26 on the year. I'm nowhere close to the home run board, but I am 2 for 3, and we're going to put Nick Pollock on the hot seat here in just a couple minutes to make a choice for the guests, as Mike Curlin was the only one that was able to jump in. Hey, friends, this episode brought to you by our friends over at BetMGM. Make sure you use the promo code that you see right under you, leading off. When you do, you get a $1,000 risk-free bet. Just go over to BetMGM right now. Pick it up, get rocking, make some bets. Over on the bettingpros.com prop cheat sheet, the top 2 bets for, the number 1 strikeout and the number 1 total base prop you want to take today, Jeffrey Springs, which I think is coming up here very shortly. The number is 4.5 on the over, projected almost 7 from FantasyPros. That is on FanDuel. It's pretty juiced up, though. That's the number 1 strikeout bet on their value board. And the number 1 total base is Rafael Devers, who is even money at 1.5 over. They project him at 3 versus Kansas City. 2 that I kind of dig today. Didn't I see? Did the Cardinals game get? Did it get rained out today? Did I just? See that?
It did. Oh, is it today? Oh, that's unfortunate.
Let me take a look. I saw on cards saying that it got today. I don't see it. I don't see anything suspended. So you guys tell me in the chat. Does anybody know any different? Because I'm gonna take Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt as a total base over if he's actually playing, but I see no rain out so far. He is plus money at 1.5 on DK and hitting 460 against lefties, and I don't see anybody correcting me. Does that sound about right, Nick?
Yeah, I don't see anything saying postponement for the Cardinals quite yet.
Okay, so Cardinals, Paul Goldschmidt, that's my pick as far as a total base prop. And Brandon Woodruff strikeouts, 6.5. It's plus money against Pittsburgh today. Hit that in the last couple. Yes, thank you very much. I will take Brandon Woodruff on the strikeouts, Goldie on the total bases. DK just running real quick. Not a whole lot here. Some interesting prices from FanDuel. Woodruff 10.5 today. Springs is 7.4 and Quintana 7.7. I actually like Jose. You like Jose Quintana today in the debut?
I think it's interesting. The Cardinals defense should help him. He's been in a lot of good rhythm with his stuff. I like that a decent amount. 7.7 sounds good.
Yeah, like really, really cheap in that same range. I think he could be a huge value today. If you're looking for implied run totals, your stacks, Milwaukee, Chicago, Tampa. Now, Milwaukee and Tampa were both, I believe, 5. Chicago wasn't, but I really like the matchup. So those are 3 teams you might target on stacks. Go probably in the top 3 or 4. And Nick, that leads us to the very end of our home run call. So all you got to do, it's super simple. They're cardboard cutout stinky hitters, but you can pick one. Really, it would be great for you to have like this a strikeout prop. It would just be like, the strikeout of the day. If you and me were doing the show, we'd have to have the homer and the strikeout monster of the day to lead. But you do got to pick a homer. All you got to do.
Easy.
Who do you want to put on the board for the guess?
I mean, how am I supposed to make a bet without using bets? It's gonna be Mookie Betts today. Jacob Junis, I don't think is actually gonna go too long against the Dodgers. I would actually consider them as a stack here, because Jacob Junis isn't quite where he needs to be, and they're going to get to that bullpen pretty quickly.
I like that one. I like to call him Jakob Jonas. It's a Jakob Jonas out there on the mound. Jakob Jonas. Yeah. And go Cards. I just got confused when I saw him saying in the chat. This was talking about
yesterday. Yep.
It was the rain out. So it completely fried my brain on what you guys can tell is a pretty quick, fast-moving leading off. So it completely fried my brain. So put Paul Goldschmidt on the board for me. Yes, I'm going to try to go 3 for 4. His huge run versus lefties, hitting 4 with bonkers numbers he's putting up this year. I'm going to go with Goldschmidt. We know Joe just has Judge moving forward. I don't know if anything else has been updated. I do see Mayer with Luis Robert, so I think he might have a new pick. I don't see a new wonky pick, but those are ours for today. Nick, what is going on over at Pitcher List that our wonderful crowd needs to know about? Because you guys have a plethora of amazing things.
We do a lot of things. Mainly just come hang out on Twitch if you enjoy his live streams. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every single weekday morning. I'm there. It's my office hours. Ask all the questions that you have. But yeah, check out our player pages. They are Statcast based. We have Statcast data, and they are absurdly detailed. Amazing game logs, all the repertoire stuff, GIFs of every single pitch. Go check them out. The best place to do your player research.
You know what's amazing? You can, if you want to just like really just throw it out here for your job, if you want, go out and watch Nick's stream for 2 hours. Then you come over here, and then after here, wait a half an hour. Then go over and watch us over at twitch.tv/inthisleague. That is
there you go.
So I'm getting yelled at in the chat. I can't call Goldie today because it's a double header. Well, let me call the game. I need confirmation. Wonky, please give me confirmation. Is this true that I can't call Goldie? What if I pick the game? What if I pick the exact one? I want the second of the double header. That is what I'm. You know what? Foot down. Second.
I rule in favor. Yeah, that works. You can't get game one.
And if I get yelled at too much, I'm taking Matt Olson because that is the other person I was going to pick today. So I'm having backup calls here. Nick Pollock at Pitcher List. Go and check him out. Check out the streams. It's twitch.tv/Pitcher List. That should be it, right? Amazing stuff over there. Go to pitcherlist.com. Awesome player pages, just awesome stuff in general. You can get always updated ranks for pitchers, and there's just a gajillion other things, so don't think that's it. And friendos, that is everything that we have for you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. BetMGM, you can check out with the promo code leading off. Hang out with the awesome chat, and thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will be back again tomorrow right here on Leading Off. If I don't hit my microphone, it's Welsh and Nick Pollock. Bye, friends.